Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, guys? I'm Andres.
This is RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And this is our review for Birds of Prey. We're actually going to get into spoilers a little bit later. But we saw this movie, finally. This is a DC movie that I thought was very highly anticipated.
It was on my
Definitely.
most anticipated of the year list, the video that we did.
Margot Robbie starring, reprising her role from Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Easily the best part of Suicide Squad, in my opinion.
I won't get into it now, but there's a lot of parts of Suicide Squad that I didn't like.
Well,
she was
you're
one
not
of
in the
them.
But
Huh?
But she was one of them, right?
Okay.
Okay.
To be fair, I'm not a Harley Quinn guy.
Okay.
Right.
We'll get into it. The first thing I want to say right off the bat, obviously we're going to get into spoilers, guys, but the first thing I want to say is I want to hear your guys' general thoughts on this movie. I saw it over the weekend. The first screening that I went to was Thursday night, opening screening, first screening I went to at the ArcLight. I want to start with you, Sabrina, because you just saw this movie, so it's a little bit fresher for you. It's a little less fresh for me, so give me your take. How did you feel about this movie?
I feel a lot of things. Number one, I came out of it. I was excited. I did have fun during it, but I don't think as a movie it stands super strong. Just like structurally, a lot of the ways that we kind of dissect films. I don't feel like this kind of is one of those where I can really heavily talk about a lot of the things that I like to normally, because I did think it was pretty messy. I do have issues with it. And I'm trying to be nice, but I did have fun and I would rewatch it. I would recommend it to people who like Harley Quinn, just because it is completely centered around Harley Quinn. It is, in my opinion, it is so not Birds of Prey at all. The original title, I think, is extremely clever. The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, which we know now is changed to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. And I think the original title is long, but I think it's really cool if the film reflected the title. But it didn't. So I think going with the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey thing.
You mean the Emancipation of Harley
that
Quinn?
one. I really, really like that title if that was reflected in the film, because calling it Birds of Prey in general, I just feel like after watching it, didn't really sit well for me, just because I feel like it was such a tiny aspect in the film as a whole. So that kind of soured it a little bit. But as a Harley Quinn film, looking at it that way, I enjoyed it. It was fun with its flaws.
Okay. How about you, man?
I mean, I'll just come out and say it. I dug the movie.
Oh, nice.
I say I really enjoyed it. I'll say it's probably, when you look at it, turn the critic brain on, right? It's a terrible film. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, structurally it's bad. Tonically, it's all over the place. It's kind of, there's even a moment where they break the fourth wall, but there's a moment where she's supposed to look directly in camera, but she's kind of looking off camera. You can kind of tell. Just nitpicky stuff, just things I catch on to. But so what? It's a fun movie. It was really, I had fun with every character in this movie. I had fun with Harley Quinn. I had fun with the over-the-top bad guy. It just felt like a classic 90s Batman and Robin type of film, but with an R-rated, modern type of spin to it. So, I mean, if I'm going to look at things like direction and editing and the important stuff, it's not the best. But in terms of having fun as a pure comic book movie fun, I felt like this is right in line with what I wanted.
Yeah.
Can I keep going off that?
Yeah.
How come there's so many movies that do something similar, but people end up I don't know, man, because I feel like I've gone out of my way to talk about movies that I'm this is fun, this is great, and everyone's it's the worst movie ever. What movie did you see? And I'm it was really fun. I enjoyed it, and everyone's it's terribly edited, but now it's you see what I'm saying? Can you separate the two? I know you can't, because you just did for this movie.
Yeah.
But
it also helped that Suicide Squad put my expectations down to the floor.
Yeah.
So now that this is something that's remotely better than Suicide Squad,
sure.
I'm entertained.
I think there's parts of this movie and there's certain character beats that are really fun for me. This is now my take. That are actually really enjoyable and really fun. I thought there was moments that were great. I thought there was character interactions that were great. I thought the best part of this movie, and I know this is my hot take, is not even one of the female characters. It's Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. I thought he was great. Like you said, a funny, over-the-top villain who's actually kind of malicious and evil and like really despicable, but at the same time you're just like, I kind of like this guy. He's kind of cool. I thought that was great. I thought the 2 minutes of Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great. And I thought I forget her name, the girl who plays Black Canary.
Oh, yeah.
I thought her 2 minutes were great. That's my issue. Is like every this movie's called Birds of Prey, but each character that's a bird of prey gets like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the main character, I find to be, I'm sorry, kind of unlikable. And she says it throughout the entire movie. She's like, I'm kind of unlikable and I'm kind of an asshole. And I'm just like, yeah, which is kind of why it's hard for me to be invested in this movie, because Harley kind of sucks. And like, in my opinion, this is me kind of viewing the movie. And then my biggest takeaway from this movie is that there's like very, very little actual dialogue and interaction and story. Yeah. The movie is 80% action. Oh, yeah. Or 90%. And not just action, but like action music video. Like literally the same thing we criticize Suicide Squad for. And I was like literally the person I saw it with was like, there was like 10 songs in this movie and it was just like cut to action scene, music video, cut to action scene, music video. And I was like, is this really a movie though? Like, I don't know. I thought the movie was really messy, had some fun moments, fun character beats, funny lines, but overall it's just like an 85% action movie. And then when you look it up, like I told my friend, I'm like, the guy from John Wick shot like all the action scenes, and the movie is like all action scenes, and it's just like. Yeah.
I thought visually it did some interesting stuff.
Yeah, but it's the guy who did John Wick though.
Yeah, but I mean, like outside of like the action stuff, I thought they did some interesting
Here's
stuff.
Here's my thing, like. A movie like Thor Ragnarok, right? Where a lot of it is action, but all the best parts of this movie are not the action scene. It's the character beats directed by Taika Waititi. And everyone's like, oh, Taika doesn't know action. Taika doesn't do big budget. Marvel is going to worry about that. And Marvel did their thing. They're able to help Taika do the crazy Marvel action stuff. But at the same time, what made that movie great was Taika's direction with his heart. And in this movie, you realize like the guys who did the action scenes, the John Wick guys, kind of directed the whole movie, and everything else that the director did in this movie was Kathy Yan was kind of just not much. It was like 10 minutes of dialogue, and the other hour and a half was like action. I don't know. That's my takeaway.
I agree though.
Yeah.
I really do agree. I feel like there could have been a better movie.
And I wanted to love this movie.
Yeah, of course. No, of course. None of us go into movies wanting to like dislike them.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. Well, okay.
But not us.
Not us.
Listen, I thought I was gonna come in and like shit on this movie. Like, you guys are shitting on it way harder than
I'm not.
Stop.
I'm really not. But my thing is like, maybe it's because I came in and I started reading the reviews and I'm like, oh damn, this movie's like John Wick. It's like crazy. It's cool. It's fun. It's dope. It's like the best DC movie ever. And I'm like, really? Best DC movie ever? And then I saw it and I was like, whoa.
See, I think some of the reactions were a little over the top. So I saw somebody call this like a Tarantino movie. Like kind of, I'm like, whoa, that's a little. You're pushing it. Like it's not that.
Like it was cute. It was a cute movie. That's literally the word I used to describe it to my friend. She was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "It was cute. Like it was a cute movie."
I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun. I thought it was exciting to watch at the time. Like when you're watching it, there wasn't, because it is so action packed. There wasn't like, it didn't drag at all, but at the same time it was going so fast, like action to action to action, that it was also hard to keep up with. So I think it just needed to like maybe find that middle ground just a little bit better. And kind of like find its footing in that way, because I did want a little bit more Birds of Prey. I wanted more development of these characters. Even though we did get their backstories, it kind of just felt like takeaway lines. Like they're like, oh, your mom did this, so now we know a little bit of her backstory, but it didn't really have like the impact that I think that they were hoping for.
I would have liked if this movie was like 30 minutes longer and they got more of every character backstory. Just
a little bit. Even because we went into obviously Huntress, like her background a lot with flashbacks. And I know that
from the comics, because Huntress is like one of my favorite characters. So I was like, oh yeah.
And she did incredible. And then going off of what you said with Ewan McGregor, I liked his performance a lot. I liked his character for the most part. It's just one of the things that I thought about a lot was kind of like my favorite villains in comic book movies, and I know this one's a little bit different, but it's kind of where you can see where they're coming from, not necessarily agree with them, but where you can kind of be like, oh, this is why they're doing what they're doing, okay. and I didn't have that with him. Maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
To be fair, I don't think we've had many great comic book villains in a minute. I don't know. What's your favorite comic book?
I don't know. Like,
Killmonger.
yeah, I was just about to say,
And
like,
superhero. Well, besides that, what other one?
Thanos, even Thanos in general, because I don't side with him, but I understand what he means.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And so that's when I think that villains really shine in comic book films, is when we can see it like that. Even Harley Quinn, she's like an anti-hero type of situation. And I kind of see where she's coming from with everything with the Joker going through that like breakup. Even though I did think they did too much Joker talk in it. That was another thing. I just like so much Joker. I get that we're establishing that like, okay, Joker's not here for her anymore, so now people are after her. But it was just constant. And especially if you're kind of trying to bury like Jared Leto's Joker, it is funny to like be referencing it throughout so much of this film. When I wanted more of that like emancipation from her, like actual legit, like seeing this emancipation, not talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what this movie felt like a lot to me. Is a lot of like things that are supposed to represent something. Like even Ewan McGregor, like, you know, it's obvious like his character is supposed to represent like toxic masculinity, right? Like terrible men. Like I wish there was just more to his character than just being that. Like, and he's a great misogynist. Like he plays misogyny to his T, you know.
Yeah, but my thing is like I thought every character in this movie was like having fun, but I thought he had the most fun.
Oh, for sure.
Which is why I kind of enjoyed it. I was like, I think this guy's having the most fun.
Yeah.
And he's just killing it.
Yeah.
Just chewing up the scenery. Let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick. This movie made no money over the weekend.
It made money.
Come on. It made no money. Let's be real.
Yeah, it made $33 million.
That's nothing.
You know what? Can I say something though?
Fam.
Can I say something about that? I honestly think that they just kind of butchered the release.
I was going to say, what happened?
It's coming out the weekend of the Oscars. I think people are more focused on maybe seeing some of those films that they missed, like seeing a Parasite, like seeing a 1917. That's what I've heard a lot of people like checking out.
But you think the same people who want to see Parasite want to see this?
I think so, because I think the people that are just now seeing Parasite in 1917 and stuff like that are more general movie-going audiences.
What if they waited 1 week?
That's what I was just going to say. That's what I was just going to say.
I think they were going for the Deadpool thing, right? Where it's like an R-rated, fourth wall breaking character.
Yeah, but they should have done it.
That comes out in February.
Yeah, but Deadpool came out on Valentine's Day.
That's
what if this movie came out Valentine's Day?
I think it would have done a lot better.
I think it would have made double.
Especially 100%. And I was just telling RB3 on the way here, one of the things I would have like thought would be a good idea for it, like kind of coming out Valentine's Day, having that whole like Galentine's type of like take your girls, go see this, like F men, look at this, like watch this movie, even going on a date. Like every time I go on a Valentine's Day date to like the movies, I see like John Wick or like Deadpool or something like that. And I just feel like it would have had a bigger draw coming out at that time. I think it could have really serviced it a lot more.
Because a lot of people
it's like the perfect breakup movie.
It is, yeah.
A lot of people are like kind of being like, oh, the marketing was... I thought the marketing was kind of good. Am I the only one who thought?
The trailer sold me.
I was going to say, the marketing was good.
The trailer sold me, but I also can see like the trailers made it look like the exact same as Suicide Squad too. And I think that that got to be a factor we can't ignore. Like Suicide Squad was terrible. That movie was terrible. And people look at this and they're like, oh, there's just going to be another Suicide Squad, same kind of trailer, same character. Like, nah, we're not gonna peep that. So
I think the misconception... I don't know. People take a lot of beats and stories and run with it, where they're just like, "Oh, people didn't watch it because it was about women," and that's just not true.
That's not true.
That is completely false. A ton of dudes saw this movie and were happy to go see it.
Mostly men when I saw it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's just not true. Most people like DC characters, and these DC characters, I'm telling you, as a dude, Huntress and Black Canary, like these are Birds of Prey, like these are characters we love. Like I love these characters. So I don't think that was it. I'm just curious to find, I think release is one, but I don't think that's everything. I think part of it has to be the Suicide Squad effect, the fact that this is how many years after Suicide Squad 2?
4 years.
No,
3?
No, it came out in 2016.
2016, yeah.
But like towards the end of the year, so like 3.5.
3.5 years after Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So it's like the time effect that this is a little late-ish to the whole thing. So there's just a lot of things there. It is kind of disappointing, the fact that a lot of people didn't go out and see this movie, considering it did have pretty positive reviews, which I already talked about. Before we take off, I want to hear you guys', let's get into actual spoilers. Favorite moments, beats, or scenes. I'll start with you.
I loved a lot of the Huntress backstory. I really loved all of that. I loved when they finally teamed up, which happened obviously this is spoiler territory, way late in the film, I feel like, way later than I expected. So some of that, the costume design is incredible. Yeah. They all look so spectacular. I absolutely loved all of that. Some of the things, also the writing, because it was written by, it had female writers, and I could tell with like just random certain beats, like just random little tiny things that you wouldn't expect. And this is something I've talked about a lot with like males writing female characters and how like I don't know, it's like you could see it with something like Bombshell. This one, I think it elevated the film so much more by having these female writers write this movie about women. Like even just the little hair tie moment, like when she's like, "Oh, do you have a hair tie?" It's 2 seconds, but like that's all of us all the time. So I feel like it captured some of those like being a woman in the world experiences, dealing with like gross men, all of that in a really nice way. They didn't go too hard with any of that kind of stuff, which I love because they stop anything, well, besides the one scene with Ewan McGregor. But I think that develops his character, so that's okay. Yeah. But nothing for like shock value or anything like that, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, most definitely.
How about you?
Yeah, favorite moments for me, I love the egg sandwich bit that they had going through the movie. I thought that was dope. It's funny watching the trailer and seeing her do like the whole like screaming to it, kind of like, no! Like I thought it was like a serious moment, like Joker got shot or something like that. But no, the context of the movie is literally she dropped the egg sandwich. That's great. I also love the fact that Harley Quinn's a Bernie Sanders supporter. They briefly referenced that for like a quick second.
I was like, is that a good endorsement?
That's
what I
great
thought.
Endorsement.
Is it?
Yeah,
a psycho girl who cuts people's throats.
Well, I mean, Bernie's the only one who lets you vote while you're in prison, so that's why. And she would have been in prison in 2016.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I liked a lot of I like the quirkier moments. You know what I mean? I love the ending and the booby trap, like the whole like production design. Like I said, I thought the visuals for like a lot of the action when she comes shooting up the police station and that like the red and blue smoke and everything like that. Like I thought visually they did a lot of interesting things. I think visually it was great. I love Huntress stuff as well. Again, if they just had like an extra 20 minutes of just
I'm telling you,
her just cooking up
can we
shit.
just have like a Huntress movie? Like no offense, bro, but here's my thing. Like, I'm cutting you off, and I'm so sorry.
That was good. That was all my moments.
My thing is, like, I just feel like the biggest flaw of this movie isn't even its fault. It's just the fact that this is me, right? I know a ton of people who are probably going to come at me being like, I love Harley Quinn. I find her so likable. I just don't. I don't think she's likable.
Yeah. I find her, like, just as likable as Deadpool. Like, that's where I find her.
Yeah. I just feel like it's harder. There's so many more interesting characters. Even Renee Montoya's character,
Rosie
Perez playing Renee Montoya. I thought her. Let's just do it.
I thought got the most shorted. Like
let's do a story about her.
I didn't even know she was gonna show up at the end. Like what the fuck? Like what is she doing? Like
that's
part of the Birds of Prey. Like
it was kind of goofy, but I was like I'd rather see that. I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah.
My thing is like I liked a lot, and maybe just because again I'm a Huntress guy, and this is coming from like me loving Green Arrow, who has a huge Huntress connection. Her one of running joke in the movie where she's like the bow hunter killer. The bow hunter killer. She's like
the crossbow killer.
The crossbow killer.
Yeah.
And she's like, my name is Huntress, man. It's like, but crossbow killer sounds so much cooler though. Like it was a running joke, and she was practicing in the mirror.
That's so funny.
Like, I thought that was cute. I thought it was really funny. And then just bits with like Ewan McGregor just having fun and dancing around and just being goofy. I like his speech at the end when there's like 50, 60 dudes around there.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. Like this big like gangster mafia dude like giving a speech to his like 50, 60 cholos. They were all cholos too, by the way. I was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is some wild stuff. Right? Okay, we get it.
Yeah,
we get it. We know who Batman's going after. I see you, Batman.
Just brown people.
Yeah, just brown people. But I thought that was kind of funny, and some of the action moments were pretty good. I thought that little, as much as I didn't like it when she first got the skates on, I liked the bit where she's on the car. I was like, this is really cool. Like when she's in front of the car and the camera zooms in and then it zooms out. I thought that was a cool directed action scene.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, I don't know. I was kind of hoping for a tiny bit more, but that's That's just me.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm thinking about on like a rewatch if I'm going to kind of look at it a little bit differently just because now I know what it is. So, because I did have really high expectations and I really did enjoy it. I'm going to go with a few friends to go see it again this weekend. Yeah, Galentine's Day. That's what I'm saying. They missed the mark. They really could have had all those girls round up and like all of us watch this film. I think releasing it, there was a few factors as to why the box office might have been a little lower, but I do think releasing it on Valentine's Day weekend would have kind of.
Oh! One thing I forgot at the end when
You scared Sabrina.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Damn, bro.
The one thing I forgot, and it just blew my mind, like when the film ended, and they spent this entire movie chasing this diamond for like these fucking codes.
Yeah.
And she pawns it at the end, like she pawns it.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, yo, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it was one of those like, it was funny. I just laughed out loud, like, what?
Yeah.
She pawned it. Yeah, that was a fun moment for me. But overall, I enjoyed. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All good.
No,
I loved it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Theatrics.
I dug it though. I really dug Birds of Prey.
Got it.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. Those are our thoughts on Birds of Prey. Obviously, we didn't get into too much spoilers, so you can.
I gave away the pawning of the diamond. Yeah.
But that was at the end.
like,
Either way, let us know what you guys thought of the movie. If you went out to see it this weekend, if you plan on checking it out, if you haven't seen it, and if you watched this video, sorry. But either way, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought. You can follow us individually. I'm at Squad Leader Ace.
I'm at Director RB3.
At Sabrina X Monica.
And you can follow us on our own Twitter and Instagram feed at First Cut TMO. And be sure to check it out right here on First Cut. Stay tuned and subscribe. So keep it real. We're going to be peacing out. So peace out, guys.
Oh, you're that psycho chick. I never call a woman a chick. I'll accept broad, lady, woman, and on occasion, bitch. Bitch? What are you talking about? That for me, will you?